At the very minimum, I would say that to identify Pat Shurmur as the problem, if you think there is a problem there, is harsh. I think given what he's had, if you identify all the issues right now with the Giants this season, they all appear to be from a ingredient standpoint, not a recipe standpoint.
Agreed.
Right? There's very little talent in the defense. They're still trotting out Alec Ogletree, for God's sake. Like, this is not a coaching problem. This is I need a linebacker problem.
They do have David Mayo.
They do.
You have your boy.
The offensive side of the ball, like, he's been able to cobble together stuff with a revolving door of receivers who haven't all been healthy at the same time. When they are, the offense looks pretty good. The offensive line, sure, that's a problem. But again, like, where are my bodies? You've given me Nate Solder. Nate Solder's not good. This is unhelpful, right? So
It's all right. It's average.
I don't think he even is. I'm just saying that I don't understand. So I get if there's pressure coming, obviously as Dave Gettleman, you're going to be like, well, sorry, Pat, it's you or me, and frankly, it's not going to be me. Bye-bye. I just don't really understand why there was pressure. Like, this was a clear, major, ground-up rebuilding project, and I would say you could look at that team and say they're heading in the right direction. Just fumbling twice in the same play is pretty freaking hysterical for a guy that's been his major problem.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't the best snap in the world, but, it hit him in the hand. So I just thought that was pretty funny. It's honestly like they can only focus on one thing at a given time. It's like if the ball was long gone and you get cracked in the head, it's like, all right, penalty. But if we have to start thinking about whether he had possession, was it over the line? It's like they don't even. It's the helmet to helmet thing is like the third in the line of succession of things we can focus on.
What about?
So it's like, nah, didn't even happen.
There was the uncalled penalty. The little holding penalty.
Passing interference.
I mean, look, Seahawks fans might complain about the refs a little bit. Wilson missed a few touchdowns. He had Chris did a great job. Great job, boss. He's like, hey, watch Jacob Hollister. What? I give credit where credit's due. And he got it right. I'll call him out if he's wrong. Maybe not. But if he's right, I'll definitely say, good job, Chris.
I think this is an area where rugby actually does a really good job of it, right?
Oh, here we go.
Don't roll your eyes at me. I saw that.
Here we go.
Rugby went through, or is going through the same thing, right? But they're probably like a year or two ahead in the process where they have said, look, there's a bunch of things that are dangerous. We've done studies. The medical things have identified specific plays in the game. We need to remove them. So they've got stuff where it's same. It's blows to the head, shoulder to the head, all this kind of stuff. And they have like a set framework where it's like, look, if you hit a guy in the head, it is a punishment of some kind. And then whether there are mitigating circumstances, like the guy ducked into you, etc., determines how severe the punishment is, right? Whether it's a straight red and a ban, whether it's a yellow card and you're only off for 10 minutes, whatever. The point is, they acknowledge that in order to get rid of that hit from the game, you need to basically be draconian and say, look, there are times where you're not going to be able to make that shot. You just have to accept, I am now so far out of position, or this is now too much of a problem. I just can't make the hit. So there are going to be times where safety just has to go, look, I can't do it. I need to stay off and let this go to ground the way it normally would be. I can't make the hit. I'm too late on it. And if you go in there and you take the risk, it's then on you whether or not you get it wrong and you knock the guy cold. So Green Bay squeaked their way past Detroit.
This was fascinating because
this is my favorite stat of the weekend, right? The Packers led for a total of 0 seconds against the Lions in 2 games and were 2-0 in those games.
I know, that was crazy. Just walk-off field goals.
Yeah, twice.
Never led.
If Green Bay didn't have to face Detroit this season, they would be the best team in the NFL. But if they had to face Detroit 16 times, they'd probably be 500.
No, they'd be 16-0. They'd beat them twice.
Having led for 0 seconds. I don't think that holds for 14 more games.
The refs may have helped on that Monday night game.
Let's round up like a quick bunch of comedy things that happened over the weekend, right? Jameis went down Jameis style.
That was amazing.
Got to his 30 for 30. Got to his walk-off pick 6 in the wrong direction. Jameis has thrown 7 pick 6s this year, which is the most in NFL history. It's also, he has scored for the opposition as many times as Marcus Mariota or Dwayne Haskins scored for their own team.
7 pick 6s.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers has 2 in his, 14-year career?
There's only been like 12 seasons where quarterbacks have thrown for over 5,000 yards. Now, Winston's one of them.
Yeah.
So we've got over 5,000 yards. The first 30-30 guy.
Right. Bruce Arians.
7 pick 6 guy.
Bruce Arians comes out and says, like, it's amazing. There's so much good and so much absolute, I can't remember the words. It was like absolute terribleness. Bruce Arians came out and described Jameis the way we've been describing
we do it, yeah.
Which is, it's either amazing or horrendous and nothing in the middle.
Radical candor.
Nothing was good except Devontae Parker or Fitzpatrick to Devontae Parker. And this was Devontae Parker going one-on-one with Stephon Gilmore, most people's Defensive Player of the Year candidate heading into that game. Devontae Parker and Fitzpatrick, I guess, single-handedly as a combination decided to take a steaming crap all over Stephon Gilmore's Defensive Player of the Year candidacy. He got gashed for over 100 yards for the first time this season.
7 catches, 119 yards, all against Devontae Parker,
right.
And almost all in contested situations in like tight window, and Devontae Parker just winning at the catch point.
There was a couple of points where Devontae Parker just absolutely bossed him.
We've joked like you don't want to see Tennessee in the playoffs, but
so yeah, we made the point that nobody wants to face them, right? They were a team heading into the postseason, should they make it, which they did, that I don't know that anybody wants to play, right? Of all the teams that could play them, I think New England wants to play them the least because I don't think they match up particularly well against them.
Now, New England's defense has obviously played outstanding for the most part this season, but we've said all year it's really difficult to bank on your defense every week. This week, it failed them in crunch time against the Dolphins, or failed them on key third downs against the Dolphins. That's not to say, like, if the Patriots came out next week, and we'll talk about it more later in the week, but if they came down and, like, shut down the Tennessee offense, you wouldn't be completely surprised.
No.
But it's not something you're going to go in and just say, well, the defense is going to shut down Tennessee. It'll be on Brady just putting a few drives together. You have to expect that the Titans are going to get theirs unless the Tannehill regression that we've been waiting for every single week just randomly hits.
That would be the most ridiculous thing ever, is if for the entire season Tannehill's kept it going and then one playoff game
and then he looks like Dolphins Tannehill.
Reverts back into like low-end Dolphins Tannehill and just the whole thing falls to pieces. That would be pretty fitting.
The Bengals got their best case scenario. Ruined the Browns. Freddie Kitchens gets fired.
They were saying, there was a report heading into that game that Week 17 was going to determine Freddie Kitchens' future.
That is, if that's true, that's a bad process.
Really is.
Yeah.
If a Week 17 game that literally changed nothing for either team against the Bengals, who heading into that game had one win, determines whether your head coach is staying or not for next year, your process is so flat-ass broke that I don't even know what you're doing.
It's bad.
Yeah.
If that was the truth. Yeah, I mean, Baker went from being charged with 15 pressures to being charged with 32. You could see early in the season the pocket presence was just off.
Did you see his average time to throw this week?
What was it?
It's like 3.6 seconds.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
That's crazy. That's a crazy. Anytime you're over 3, it's like on the high end, right? With Baker, again, can we have a nuanced conversation here?
No.
He had so many unlucky interceptions this year, right? That were just ridiculous, whether wrong route or drops or whatever it is. And he also regressed and didn't play that well.
It's actually worse than I said. So his average time per pass attempt was 3.6 seconds. His average time in the pocket was 3.9.
That's insane.
It's ridiculous.
That is not,
I've never seen that.
When you use that number, when you have Premium Stats 2.0, PFF Elite, when you use that number, you're not using it to say, here's how good the offensive line was.
No.
It's here's how the quarterback is playing or how the play call is working. If you're up over 3, you're holding the ball probably too long. If you're at 4, that's insane.
I've never seen that before. I mean,
unless you have a couple freak, scramble plays.
I haven't run the numbers to see if that's the longest that any quarterback has ever had over a decent sample size in a game, but it wouldn't shock me.
All right, let's get into what we got right and what we got wrong during the season.
Yes.
Do you want to go back and forth? How do you want to do this? You want to do the wrong stuff first? Everybody likes to know when we're wrong.
Let's go back and forth. We'll do one each.
Okay, why don't you start?
I thought Quinnen Williams would hit the ground running. Our sort of college to NFL translations, the guys that have just gapped everybody in terms of grading on the defensive line, have always had this really smooth transition. And even this year, for the most part, that's true. Like Nick Bosa, it's one of the best grades we've ever given. Nick Bosa hit the ground running exactly like his brother did. Quinnen Williams was absolutely freaking dominant last year in college. I thought he would hit the ground running, be a very good disruptive interior pass rusher from year one. Not completely anonymous almost all year long. Even when he was halfway good, it was against the run. Like as a pass rusher, he's brought almost nothing. And then obviously on offense, the thing that changed the most that I didn't see coming was Lamar Jackson's development as a passer.
Right.
Like we talked all offseason about how he was by far the least accurate quarterback in the NFL, whether it's in terms of completion rate, in terms of adjusted completion rate, in terms of ball location stuff with our QB annual. when the data was all visualized, it was, everybody in this band here. And then no matter the depth, it was Lamar down here on his own off the end of the scale. It's like, okay, even if he improves a bit, it's not going to be a seismic shift in what he's doing. But it has been. Like, he has had a completely seismic shift in his passing ability. And that's why he's gone from being a guy that wasn't graded very highly to not just being middle of the pack, but an MVP candidate or an MVP front runner, because he improved so much, and that transformed the offense completely. You add that to the defense that was doing some really smart stuff. Plus, you have John Harbaugh, who starts using numbers more than any other coach in the NFL in terms of when to go for it on fourth down, when to go for it in 2-point situations, all that kind of stuff. So everything about the Ravens manifested itself completely differently to how I expected it to. Swing and a miss. All right, what else did you screw up?
All season on this podcast, I very adamantly said that the Broncos are a 6-win team. They won 7. Wrong.
Yeah. That feels weak. I was right about Terry McLaurin.
No kidding.
Here's the thing, right?
I know.
We can also expand this to add in A.J. Brown, right? Because I think we had A.J. Brown as our second best receiver available.
We had him and DK Metcalf right up there as 1 and 2.
Him and DK Metcalf in the first round. And obviously A.J. Brown has been phenomenal down the stretch.
You can expand it to N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, that's true. So we generally were right about A.J. Brown, right? But me more specifically, this is why you mock my Senior Bowl approach. And yet the Senior Bowl approach identified the hidden gem that is Terry McLaurin, because he went out there and roasted everybody that tried to cover him. And like, ooh, this guy looks pretty good. And you wouldn't have found that if you were just digging through Ohio State for like the 3 times they threw him the ball last season in between trick plays to Paris Campbell. No, you need the Senior Bowl. You see him against other elite competition. Terry McLaurin just smoked everybody. And then out there as a rookie, number 1 receiver in Washington, despite dealing with crappy quarterback play for most of the year. Dude's a stud.
Which reminds me, a few weeks ago, there was a report out there. And if you see these reports, I'm going to warn you right now. I talked to 3 general managers who said 25 teams are interested in bringing in Antonio Brown. Can you just think about that for a second? Do you think you could talk to 3 general managers who know what 20 other teams are going to do? Do you think that's even possible? Do you think GMs actually talk about, I would sign Antonio Brown, and they just all tell each other their intentions?
I want to see if Twitter is as tuned into this as we are, right? There is a specific reporter out there who appears that his entire life is built off fake, made-up quotes. I texted 3 AFC executives. They said, yada, yada, right? Literally everything he posts is manufactured off this some way, shape, or form,
just
right?
All fake sources.
Relatively convinced that his entire existence as an insider is made up, right? And I'm curious if Twitter knows who it is.
Yes, please let us know. Hashtag let us know if you realize who's
shoot me and Steve a message with hashtag let us know and see if you know who the journalistic bullshit artist is.
Because I'm going to start that this year.
You should.
Talk to 8 coaches who said, we'll sign Le'Veon Bell. We want to trade for Le'Veon Bell. You can't prove it, but I can just tell you I talked to 8 people.
You do that. I'm going to make a much bigger job this year of getting the anonymous scout take on things.
Oh, yeah.
She's a year older now. She's 6. I think she'd have some more advanced takes.
Yeah, she did a good job.
Yeah.
But, let's put a little bit more on our plate this year.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.